How have you found life as a priest now? 4 years?
Yeah, there's like a constant learning process. You know, there's almost something new every single day. My first vocation is as a Passionist, and secondary is priesthood.
Take me to that moment where you went, I can't deny the calling anymore.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? If this is where I'm feeling called, why wait? Discernment's very important, but you have to make a decision at some point.
What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Sunday School. I'm Ryan, and today I'm joined by long lost friend.
Yes.
Most tattered priest of all time.
Yes. Actually, no, it might be debatable, but yes.
The priest with better hip hop taste than me. Father Luke, which is weird for me to say because...
Yes. I'm talking about this earlier.
When the last time I saw you, you were just Luke.
Yes.
Which is nothing wrong with that. But I've known you before you were a priest. And now, touching base all these years later, we talked about how we fell out of touch. But it's really good to see you, and thank you for joining me.
No, it's so cool to be
today.
Here, dude. Yeah, seeing you guys like popping up on the feed, and so keen to be here. Dude.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. How have you been? I mean, we talked a lot as I was trying to figure out how to do this without Father Justin. It took me about an hour to figure out the audio.
We need you, Justin.
Yeah, it took me an hour to figure out the audio situation, but we're here now. I guess I want to start with, how have you found life as a priest now? 4 years.
Yeah.
What has that transition been like?
Yeah, it's been really cool, man. Like I think any priest could say, like, in that first year or two, it's weird. Like it's really weird. In the sense that you're engaging with people and activities and things in a different way. And you're like, there's like a constant learning process. You know, there's almost something new every single day. You know, like first time I heard, went into the reconciliation as a priest.
Yeah.
And like, I'm hearing people's confessions and I'm like, dude, I don't know what to say to these people. Like, I don't, and then even Mass, like, we do all of this preparation to celebrate Mass, but man, the Missal is a big book.
Yeah.
And so, like, getting used to like where are all of the different places, and then familiarizing myself with the prayers, funerals, like the grief that we talk to people about and enter into. And so I think the learning curve's huge in the first year and a half, 2 years, and for me it was also like, at the end of COVID, well, in the middle of COVID, I was ordained.
Yeah.
So there was also that added like weirdness and difficulty, but really loved the journey. Like, I think getting comfortable with all of those things over the years and being able to, I suppose, enter into them as my own person now, and feeling comfortable in my role. Yeah. Even, getting used to the my identity as a priest. You know? How do I relate to people? Like, we were talking about earlier.
For sure. And I think like knowing who you were before, I guess you became a priest, and obviously reconnecting now after that. I guess one of my questions is, how do you think that you've changed as a result of that? And what were your expectations like leading up to becoming a priest? And then like when you became a priest, you can elaborate, I guess, on those on those challenges.
I think, to be honest, expectations are a weird thing for me, because I know you would expect that we're like looking forward to this moment of priesthood. But for me, in my vocation, my first vocation is as a Passionist, and secondary is priesthood.
Right.
So for me, it was more recognizing I was living out my Passionist vocation in a specific way, and priesthood was something, I suppose, an extension of that, or something that I felt I could enter into to live out that Passionist vocation more. So I must admit, I didn't actually have a whole lot of expectation about what that would mean, because I'd already taken my final vows as a Passionist, and that was what I was called to primarily. Yeah. But I think the change has probably been around self-confidence. You're going into these places, like I said, where it's some of people's most intimate moments in their lives, death of a loved one, celebrating some of the most joyful moments, as you would know, marriage, a kid, all that sort of stuff, funerals. So you're entering into people's lives in a really deep and meaningful way. And I think that's taught me a lot about what it means to connect with people and what it means to hold space for people rather than, I think one of my biggest learnings in the parish was that I don't have anything special to offer. You know, I don't have any words of wisdom or particular amazing things to give. It's more presence and simply being there. And, you know, there's that link with the incarnation, that's what God does in the person of Jesus. It's presence. It's being here with us, choosing to be human.
Yeah.
So for me, that's been the main learning, is just being with people, man. Like, you know, journeying with people, holding space for people, being present. That's been the biggest thing. And I think from that, there's been a lot of confidence that's come from that space. So,
No, that's awesome. I think the difference that you raised there, like the initial vocation of being a Passionist and then like the priesthood second, people might listen to that and go, well, that seems a little bit confusing. So maybe break that open for people. What do you mean by the vocation of the Passionist first and then the priesthood after?
Yeah. So for any religious order, and some of your listeners would probably know the MGLs quite well.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah. I like to say that we're like the OG MGLs. You know? 300 years before, baby.
Yeah. Don't get me involved in some historical beef. I'm not.
No.
Yeah. Clip it though, because engagement, you know, that's the game's the game. But let the record show that I had nothing to do with this.
Coming out swinging in the first few minutes. No, we any religious would say that their primary vocation is religious life. Yeah, and that's lived out in community, and it's lived out through the evangelical counsels, the vows of poverty, chastity, obedience. And for us as Passionists, we take a fourth vow. Some religious orders, congregations take an extra vow. And for us, that's to keep alive the memory of the Passion. And so any religious would say that their first vocation is that of religious life. Yeah. And some religious would then also be ordained and would then live that primary vocation out within the secondary vocation of ordination. Yeah. But for all of us, we would say that it's our religious life that informs our priestly life rather than the other way around.
And why the Passionists for you?
Well, that's changed a little over the years, I think. Well, the easiest way to say that is I grew up in a Passionist community in Brisbane, and I knew the guys there quite well, and I was always really inspired by how they ministered. You know, they were very down to earth, very connected with us. We never used titles. Like I remember growing up, the first time like going to a different parish outside of our Fort community and having to use a title for a priest, I was like, oh, this is weird. Like, because I'd always just known Ray, David, Paul.
Oh, title is in father.
Father, yeah. So they almost were like part of our families, you know? And that was something that always resonated with me. Yeah. But then after I graduated school, I joined our retreat team up there. And that was at the invitation of Father Ray. And he founded the team and built the team over the years. And I think seeing a different side of the Passionist, which was on these retreats, these youth retreats, and seeing the impact that he was able to have, and through a series of events, that it kind of led me to going, yep, I think Passionist life is for me. You know, I see myself in that. You know,
what kind of impact were you seeing?
Well, journeying with the kids. Yeah. You know, I think all of our Passionist retreats, we're not going there to give anything to them. We're not going there expecting anything from them. We're not going there to tell them, do this, do that, you know, or this is how you should live your life, or these are the things you should believe. We're simply going there to walk alongside them and facilitate that journey in a certain way. And so, you know, coming out of some of those retreats where our team would be facilitating these experiences, these relational experiences between people in a year level, you know, experiences of forgiveness, experiences of compassion, experiences of showing the love that's at the core of our charism. That was really amazing to see. And, you know, having these, I don't know, those experiences for me, I came away from being like, wow, man, like this is, I want to be more part of this. I want this to be part of who I am, not just a job that I'm doing on the side.
And then my favorite question to ask religious is then like, take me to that moment where you went, I can't deny the calling anymore. I need to follow. I need to follow it. Take me to that moment. What was that like for you internally to come to that realization?
Sure. There's two moments I often talk about for my vocation. One is we were on our team's retreat, and it was about 1 a.m. We were all sitting around a fire on a Saturday night. Father Ray was sitting there. He was playing Gautier's Somebody That I Used to Know.
Yeah. On guitar?
If
there's a fire, there's always a guitar.
Bro, 100%. And Ray always had it out, right?
Yeah.
So we were sitting there in this retreat, and one of my mates, Sephor, he was a bit of a mentor for me on the team. He was one of our senior people, and we were sitting there chatting, and he pointed at Ray and he said to me, dude, how cool would it be to do what Ray does like full time? And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, do you mean like join the team full time? And he goes, no, like as a priest. And I was like, what? But like I feel like today no one thinks about religious life as an option.
For sure.
It's just something that there's like a whole lot of old men and women who live it over here.
Yeah.
And then my job and my life is here.
Yeah.
So that started the process. The moment I decided, I was studying psychology at the time, and I was going into our final exam, which I hadn't prepared for at all. I'm sitting outside the lecture theatre. I've got this massive psychology book. I'm flipping through it, trying to like somehow like via osmosis get all of this in my head. Yeah. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Everyone starts getting called in, and slowly but surely I'm the last person sitting out there, and I was like, nah, dude, this isn't it. Like, it's not me. Yeah. So I hopped on my phone and pulled out of the whole course, like in that moment.
Before the exam.
Wow. And I knew that the vocation director, Father Morgan Batt for the Archdiocese, because I was also discerning with the diocese, I knew he lived like walking distance from uni. And so I walked down the road, knocked on his door. He was on his way out, and we had a cup of tea, quick chat. And he said, look, I need to go, but here's the keys to the chapel. Lock up when you're done. Feel free to stay as long as you want.
Yeah.
So I stayed there for about an hour. I prayed the rosary.
Shout out to the rosary.
Bro, shout out to the rosary, 100%.
Yeah.
Prayed the rosary, sat there in prayer, really listened. And by the end of that, I was like, nah, I want to be a Passionist. So I called up Father Kevin Hennessy, who was the vocations director. And he was like, yeah, look, come down to Melbourne next week for a week. Come and stay. We can have a chat and, and I was like, what? So I flew down to Melbourne, and while I was here, I had a bit of a retreat and basically wrote my letter to the provincial Tom McDonough of the day, and was accepted a couple of weeks later and moved down the next year.
It's rapid.
Yep. And then met you.
Big part of the story.
Hugely influential.
I'll take my flowers now. Thank you very much. Finally some recognition. I mean, geez, you do, make all this effort and time. Because that seems like a quick turnaround. Obviously, you've had all these experiences, but in that moment, quick.
Well, I've always been someone who wears my heart on my sleeve, and I don't. This has gotten me in trouble at times. But I often don't wait. I like to do things right now, right here. Like if we're talking about a cool idea, I'm like, dude, heck yeah, let's drop everything and do that right now. And that was that moment. I was like, you know what? If this is where I'm feeling called, why wait? Why waste more time? And looking back, probably could have spent a bit more time thinking it through, but don't regret it.
It wouldn't have changed.
Wouldn't have changed anything. Wouldn't have changed anything. And that's always what I say to people who are discerning their own vocations. It's like we get stuck in this like perpetual discernment period.
Yes.
And it's like, that's important. Discernment's very important.
Yeah.
But you have to make a decision at some point.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, it was the stress of an exam I hadn't prepared for. God somehow worked in that and was like, here's the Passionist.
How did your family respond?
Initially, it was a bit like, I think hit and miss, because context, I'd been coming to mum and dad with like ideas almost weekly for new things I wanted to do. I wanted to start like a new t-shirt business at one point. I wanted to, I'd done landscape architecture for a year at uni, then I'd moved into psychology. I was doing this retreat team stuff. I wanted to do landscaping. I wanted to start my own like gardening business. Like I was coming with ideas
You're an ideas guy.
Bro, all the time. Never followed through on many of them. And so when I came to mum and dad and was like, I want to be a priest, they were like, dude, come on. Like, we've heard all of this, but this takes
the cake. Yeah.
And I remember like I had this, we laugh about it now. I had this dinner with dad. Dad was like, okay, he's realizing it's a bit serious, And before I left to move down to Melbourne, he goes, we're going out for dinner. We're going to have a chat. I was like, okay, cool. So we go out to dinner, local Indian restaurant. Awesome. Shout out to that Indian restaurant. Yeah. And
I love you gave a shout out. You didn't actually shout out the plate. You just said Indian
can't
restaurant.
Remember what it's called. Don't even know if it's still there.
Okay.
Awesome. Forest Lake Indian restaurant if it's still there. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But he said to me, he goes, okay, I can see that you're wanting to do this. He said, I don't want you to come back home unless you've got that piece of paper in your hand that says you've got a qualification. And I remember when I graduated with my my bachelor in theology, I was like, Dad, I got that paper.
That's so good.
But no, so I think now they'd recognise, like, and especially like once they started to get to know the guys down in Melbourne, they came and visited a couple of times. It was this realisation that, wow, Luke's actually home here.
Yeah,
you know, Luke's found a home, and that was really meaningful when my two families kind of came together, and those connections are still there, which is, for me, is beautiful.
And did you feel like you found a home when you came to 100%. Melbourne? Like you felt like this 100%.
Was... 100%. I mean, it was difficult. Like there's that
not without the challenges, obviously.
You know, I left home at 20 and I didn't just move house. Like I moved states.
Yeah.
And then into a new vocation. So it was tough in those first few months. That first year was quite tough.
Because I feel like I met you... when you just...
It was that first year.
Yeah. So some credit goes to... Nah.
And again, you were so influential in that first year.
I wasn't... I don't want people to start thinking that I'm just joking. I'm obviously joking. I was not...
real shout outs to Christina,
though, who gets a lot of shout outs on this show.
Yeah.
Because... Fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
You guys worked at like this youth group, Cornerstone at St. Gregory's, which was awesome. Was really cool, really great. That's where we got to meet each other, and then we went out for kebabs and stuff. We hung out quite a bit. I thought.
I don't think that kebab joint's there anymore.
No, it's
that's brutal, man.
Shout out to Mad Kebabs, man. Bro. That place had the best chili sauce.
It's the first HSP I ever had in my life.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you hadn't had one. And then we went there. Yeah, we spent some late nights.
Yeah, we did.
At that joint.
It was good, man. It was so good.
No, good times. Good times. But so your family, when they finally get to see how you've taken to life here, the tone shifted.
Yeah. And I think it wasn't that they were against it in the beginning. I don't think that was ever the case. It was just that they were kind of cautious because they knew me.
Yeah.
You know, and I was often all over the shop. So, but when they saw that I was settled there. And like I said, there was a home there. I was connected there. And I started really, really loving community life at Templestowe, you know, Holy Cross there. And it was awesome.
A beautiful spot.
Yeah. Oh, dude, beautiful so spot. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, you know, over the years, that connection deepened, that sense of home deepened. And I think they see that. And especially now, you know, like I'm in ministry now and they see that as well.
Yeah.
You know, I get to go up there and see them regularly and as part of the current role, which is awesome. But they see that I love what I'm doing and they're really supportive of that, which is awesome.
Beautiful. I want to touch on, you talked about when you went to the chapel, you prayed the rosary and then you said you really listened. A question that I hear a lot is when people ask, when God speaks to you, what does it sound like? What did it sound like and what was he saying?
Yeah. Look, that's always a really difficult question to answer.
Yeah,
and I think it works differently for different people too, because I think God works in our lives in a unique way to us. I don't think there's a blanket one size fits all model. And that's the same for prayer. But I think for me, I've often connected with God through, it's hard to describe, but like the feelings of connectedness. So, you know, I know that God's at work in a place if I'm feeling really connected to the people there or the mission of that place. And all throughout my life as a religious, there's been these little moments of going, wow, I feel really connected to what's happening here. And I can feel God's at work in that, even if I haven't had like an explicit, Luke, stay here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so for me in that chapel, I think I'd been tossing up, is it diocesan priesthood or is it religious life with the Passionists? And the more I sat in that chapel, the more I felt this sense of connection or this sense of homeliness, I suppose. Because at this point, I had a few different experiences with the diocese. I'd gone on some retreats there, but also locally with the Passionists too. And so when I was thinking back on these experiences, I was looking back at them going, there was a real sense of connection when I stayed with the guys at the fort, the Passionist community at the fort in Oxley. And while I enjoyed my time at the seminary and I've still maintained really awesome relationships with the diocesan guys that we were actually all ordained together up in Brisbane, which was special. it didn't give that same sense of connection. I didn't feel that same resonance there.
Yeah.
So through that prayer experience, when I say listen, it's like, where is the connection? Where is that sense of resonance with where my life's experience has gone so far? And at that point in time, it was like, this is the Passionists.
Yeah.
So I came out of there going, yeah, look, it's solid.
Yeah.
There was still a whole lot of unknowns. There was still a whole lot of,
for sure,
uncertainties. But I think I couldn't deny that sense of, I think it's Passionists.
Yeah.